In this video, I'm going to show you guys the key points that I use every single year to make 5 to 6 figures strictly from sports betting. Most sports bettors can't even last a couple weeks with this first one that I'm going to explain to you. The first one is going to be coping with losing. A lot of people will go, they'll place a bet, they end up losing, they feel terrible, they don't know how to react to it, they just start chasing, they want their money back. So they start placing ill-advised bets. They start going out there and just betting anything. I've worked with so many clients, so many people that struggle with just this first thing that I'm explaining to you right now. As soon as they take a loss, they don't know how to handle it. And then they go off the rails and they start betting a bunch of ill-advised stuff that they should not be betting. And next thing you know, they're digging themselves further and further into a hole, and they're not even following the strategy that you've taught them. They're not following anything. They're just going down into that hole, and they just keep hammering bets until they just randomly win some random game that they're betting on or that their friends told them to go and bet on. So sadly, most sports bettors don't even make it out of that first step because they fall into that hole. Once they start losing, they can't cope with losing, and they end up emptying out the whole tank just chasing one bet because they ended up losing one game. And another thing that correlates with that, this is for parlay bettors. Now, when parlay bettors, when they bet, let's say they put down $20 on a 5-leg parlay. To cash out, you win $1,500 if you won that, let's just say. So let's say it gets down to that last leg and they end up losing that last leg. Well, they take it as that they lost $1,500. They don't take it as they lost $20. So it messes with their mind. They think they lost $1,500 when in reality you only lost $20. So you have to learn how to rewire your mind to be able to even withstand the day-to-day process of betting on sports, because it is not for the faint of heart. I'm just going to be honest. If you have a weak mind and you cannot control your emotions, this game will eat you alive. You will not even be able to last a week, because I've dealt with thousands of people and literally most cannot last a couple weeks of losing. You have to retrain their mind. If you can retrain their mind, then they learn exactly what it takes. They take the emotion out and then they become unbreakable after that. Once you become unbreakable, then you can further your career in sports betting and you can prove to yourself that you could actually last doing this. Now, number 2 that's very, very important is having a money management plan. People don't understand how important this really is. All right, so a lot of sports bettors, they will just go into their pocket, they'll grab spare change, they'll grab what they got paid, whatever's left over after they pay their bills, and that's what they'll use to gamble with. You have to understand that that is not a set plan. That is just winging it, just taking spare money and just throwing it. It's like throwing darts. Same thing. You have to have a money management strategy to be able to actually be successful long term, to think that you're even going to make any type of money. Now, the reason why people fail when it comes to this step is because they don't understand how to manage their money, and next thing you know, they're betting $100 on a game, but then they're betting $300 on this game, then they're betting $500 on this game, then they're betting $200 here, $100 on this parlay, $50 on this parlay. They're all over the place, and they don't even know if they're up or down. They don't know if they're winning or losing, because here's what happens. Now, like I said, I've dealt with this plenty of times, guys, where they'll go and place $100 on a game, they'll win that game. Then they'll go and place $300 on another game, they'll lose that game. Then they'll go place $200 on another game, win that game. Then they'll put $500 on another game, lose that game. Guess what? They're losing money. All right, you're losing money because you're jockeying your unit size and the amount that you're putting down. You're jockeying it all over the place. Another thing somebody will do, they'll go and place a $100 bet on, let's say, a minus 180, 190. So your profit on that is half of pretty much what you staked. They'll do that, but then they'll take $50 and put it on a parlay. So they'll lose the parlay, win the straight bet, but then they just broke even pretty much. So people will not understand what it takes money management wise to be successful, because you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan and you're just winging it, which is 90+% of sports bettors out there, this is why the sports books are rich. This is why they make so much money, because they know that people are not strategizing any of this. They're just going out there and they're just betting whatever on TV. They're just taking whatever money they got that's left over. They're throwing it into same game parlays. They're throwing it into 5-6 leg parlays. They're losing their money, and what? The sports books are just getting richer and richer and richer because you just keep donating to them, because you have no plan of what you're doing and you're just throwing money randomly at them. Now let's get to number 3 here, which is possibly the most important thing that I've learned with dealing with thousands of people. There's something in the male brain, I don't know what it is, when somebody teaches you exactly what to look for, you don't feel like you've did it yourself, so you don't have that gratification. You feel like somebody else did it for you, so you go and try to figure out a new way to do something that already works. I don't know why this happens, but this happens time and time again, and I've seen it happen thousands of times times already. Or I personally will teach a person exactly what to look for, the correct strategy, but they will still try to figure out a different way to do it because they want to feel like they came up with the play, and when that play wins, they want to feel the gratification, not that somebody else taught them how to do it. So you need to understand this. You need to break the mentality of thinking that you can't listen to somebody else. The most successful people in the world took advice from somebody else. You need to understand that. You can't just think that, I know how to do it, I'm going to figure it out myself. You need to understand that you take from the great ones, the ones that know exactly what it is that they're doing and what it is that you want to achieve, and you do exactly what they did. It's that simple. It's not hard. You got to put your ego aside, and you got to just understand that you trying to go out and figure it out on your own is going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars and so much time that you're probably just going to give up. I'm just being honest. You're probably just going to give up, because I've dealt with thousands of people, and that's what happens. They try to do it on their own, and they come back years later. Do you know how many people that have gotten on a phone call with me and then didn't want to get coached by me, and then a year or two later come back and they're still in the same situation? They did not progress, and I talk to them again, and then they break down to me, man, I should have just had you teach me a couple years ago because I'd be in a different spot now. It's because the ego takes over and you don't want to listen to somebody else. When it comes down to it, that is the biggest problem. You need to understand, when somebody knows something that you don't, you just take their advice, you listen to them, and you go out and you replicate exactly what they did. Put your ego aside, put everything else aside, just listen to them and just go do it. There's an old saying that you could lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. And that is true. So when it comes to sports betting, you could lead the sports bettors to the strategy, you could lead them to the bankroll management plan, but you can't force them to do it. Here's another thing that comes into play too. Sometimes you could lead that horse to water, and then their friend is pulling them in another direction and telling them to go drink this other water over here that's possibly poisoned. And guess what? That horse will go over there and they'll try to go drink that water. This happens in sports betting, where you teach them the correct thing, but their buddies are hanging out with them, and their buddies can, hey, why don't you go bet this play? I'm gonna go bet this thing. And the next thing you know, they're going to bet a bad bet that their buddy told them, and then now they're in a losing slump. They're losing money when they should have just been listening to you. So the moral of this video is, if you want to make 5 to 6 figures a year purely from sports betting, you need to learn from somebody that's actually doing it, and you need to understand what it takes. It takes a very sharp mind, it takes a very sharp pocket, because you got to understand you got to have money to make money, and you got to understand that you need to learn from somebody that is already doing it. You try to go out and do it by yourself, maybe you'll be successful, but it will take you years, and it will take you a lot of money lost before you figure it out. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.